Well, hello, friends. Welcome back to Commute Talk. Today, I thought I would talk about something a little bit different because tomorrow is the 1 year anniversary of the Serenity Git repository, and um, I'd like to talk a bit about what led up to the creation of this system. So, um, if you saw the title of this video, then you already know it's about drugs and addiction. So, I've been an addict my whole life. So my name is Andreas, and I'm an addict, right? Um, and I didn't realize it, of course, but it started when I was a teenager and first got hold of some beer. It didn't taste very good, but the way that it made me feel was just something else. And I would get completely messed up and basically sick, and I just couldn't wait to do it again. And from the first time I ever got drunk, it was just a constant anticipation for the next time when I could get drunk again, or when I could get hold of some alcohol or whatever. And it was always like that. And I managed to like wrestle myself away from this for periods, for years sometimes, like by just not making sure to not have any friends who were into it. But eventually I would always find my way back to it. And it's been like drugs and alcohol have been the friend that I've known the longest in my life, I suppose. And it's been a really, really terrible friend. We've had some good times, but the bad times far outweigh them. So I followed the very typical pattern of like continuous escalation throughout the years. A little bit at first, get a taste for it, and then more and more and more often, more amounts, bigger amounts, And at first it was just alcohol, but then like everyone else, or I shouldn't say like everyone else, but like so many others, obviously I started smoking weed, and after the weed came other stuff like party drugs and hallucinogens, and then it just spiraled out of control completely. And I lived like that for years, and I've definitely had jobs and managed to do my job more or less while acting this way. But I know for sure that I was capable of a lot more than I was putting out. But I was always limited by my addiction and by giving into it, right? And it's a sad thing that I feel some amount of regret about, right? But even so, I just kept living that way. And things kept escalating. And it got to the point where I would say I became a danger to myself and to others around me. It was just not sustainable anymore. And I was lying about it to everyone and putting up this facade, and it was not a very good facade, but I still insisted on putting it up, and it was just really, really, really bad. And I got to a point where I couldn't handle it anymore, and I came clean to my closest friends, and decided to make a change. And it was very, very difficult. And I ended up getting into a rehab program. And this was in June of 2018. And so I checked into rehab more or less, and went to It was a very intense place with, I think we had a daily sessions. It was 4 or 5 hours a day of group therapy. And then I, I joined some extracurricular activities in the same vein, and started volunteering in some local activities related to this, and it was obviously very life-changing experience, and very, very important to me, and I'm extremely happy that that I got to this point where I realized that this was something that I needed, and I mean, there's so many things to say about it, but at the same time, it's also like a lot of it is protected by anonymity in spirit, right? So if you know about these things, then you know the kind of places and the kind of things that I've been to. And if you don't know about these things, but you suspect that you might have issues with drugs or alcohol, or you are wondering about these things, or you would like to know something about this, then feel free to reach out to me, because I know a bit about this, and I can definitely help anyone who's looking for information to find more of it. So, like I was saying, I got into this rehab last year in June, and the first 3 months was group therapy every day, and after that, the first 3 months was over, then we switched over to I switched over to this, I don't know what it was called, like aftercare program or something like that. I don't know what the English word would be, but basically it went from being every day to once a week. And when it flipped over there, I suddenly found myself with nothing to do, and I was so used to sitting every day in a circle of people talking about like the innermost thoughts and feelings, and and sharing that with other people in the same situation, and to go from that to like just sitting there by myself. And I'd moved in with a relative at this time, so I was not at my own home, and I didn't have any of my stuff, basically just some clothes, and I didn't know what to do. So I found an old computer that I have given to my grandfather a long, long time ago, like in 2006, I think. And it was just gathering dust there, because my grandfather passed away some years ago. And I booted it up and figured out that, like, hey, this is my old computer from back in the day. I used to play Vanilla Warcraft on it back in those times, and it had like Windows XP on it, and I didn't particularly feel like doing anything with Windows XP, but instead I installed Slackware on it, like a really old Slackware, because I thought, like, well, why don't I go back in time to KDE 3.5? I'll just install some distro that has that, because it was a good time in computing, I thought, and I'm not going to be able to get it online anyway, so I'll just install from a DVD, and we'll see if I can sit here and do some programming or something. And that's when I started just messing around with what eventually became Serenity. And so the name Serenity, it comes from the Serenity Prayer, which is a very important part of um, certain disciplines of addiction recovery and addiction treatment. And I wanted to give it a name because I knew I could tell that I was going to go all in on this whole thing. So I wanted to um, give it a name that would always remind me of this thing that I didn't want to lose, and I don't want to lose, and I can't afford to lose. The knowledge that I'm a lifelong addict, and I simply cannot have drugs or alcohol or anything like that, because I am completely allergic to it, and it takes over my entire life in no time if I allow them in. And that's not because there's anything wrong with drugs and alcohol. Let me be clear. It's just that Andreas, cannot handle these things. Like, I have more than enough evidence, a lifetime of evidence, to show you, or to show me, that I can't handle this. And so the name Serenity is sort of my it's my self-hack to make sure that I can't get carried away and run away from this, because my life's work, hopefully, I'm hoping this would turn into that my life's work would have this stamp on it that's forever a reminder that I just have to stay sober. And that's really what it means to me. And I can tell with myself sometimes that these, like, addictive patterns and behaviors, that they manifest in all kinds of parts of life, not just in drug abuse, but like, I can tell if I'm just sitting and programming for 8 hours straight and not even eating something or going to the bathroom, and just getting, like, completely into the zone, and then finding myself hungry and dry on the other side. And it's a really unhealthy behavior. And just because someone stops using drugs and alcohol, it doesn't mean that they are free from addiction. Because at least there are many schools of thought on this, but the one that I have ended up subscribing to is the idea that you're just never free from addiction. It's something that you have to treat for the rest of your life. And I very much believe that it is an illness, but it's a treatable illness, and it's on each and every one of us who has this illness to take care of it ourselves. Like, it's our responsibility. It's my responsibility to take care of this. I can't blame anyone. I can't blame drugs or alcohol. I can't blame anyone who enabled my behavior or anything like that. It's my responsibility. But I think it is an illness, and it's an illness that manifests in many ways. So yeah, that's it's like this part of the backstory that I guess has been missing for a long time. Although I've been putting hints here and there in the code and in videos, but I don't know if anyone ever noticed. So I just wanted to bring it out in the open, because it's something that's important to me. And I will definitely say that I do not mind if anyone else drinks or does drugs. It does not bother me. This is about me and my problem for me. And I certainly hope that everyone is just living life their way, in a way that's good for them. And like I was saying before, if you do feel like you maybe don't have control over these things in your life, or something is not quite right about the way you consume things, or the way that things consume you, then feel free to reach out, because it definitely starts with communicating about it with someone else who has been through the same thing. Like that's the thing that has helped me more than anything in my whole life, is meeting other people with the same problem, and sort of taking off this weird idea that there's something wrong with me or something special with me because of my problem and my inability to control something or control a behavior pattern. Just meeting hundreds of other people with the same problem and talking to them and hearing from them, and being able to relate to that has been amazingly powerful for me, and it's something that I would encourage everyone to try out. And you can check this out, and you don't even have to have a problem to check these things out if you're interested. Anyways, I don't want to talk everyone's ear off about this, but I just wanted to share about it and make it clear that I don't care what anyone else is doing. This is about me. If you're interested in these things or worried about something, then feel free to reach out. Just because this is what the Serenity name comes from, doesn't mean that you can't have your own meaning for it. Obviously, it's just a word, and words have many meanings, and everyone can choose their own. This is the one that is the most important to me. And I'll just say thank you for listening, and I guess happy birthday, Serenity, the operating system. I mean, it's tomorrow, but happy birthday regardless. It's been a really cool year. It's been quite a roller coaster for me, and I'm really glad that I started working on this, because it's just turning out to be such a cool project, and it just keeps growing, and I am learning so much, and I'm meeting so many lovely people who want to help out and contribute code and contribute bug reports and all kinds of other things, and it's just been amazing. And I'm so grateful for everyone being so supportive of this. Like the percentage of haters that this project gets is just so tiny, and I think that's just such a lovely thing, and I hope it can stay that way. And we'll see. Yeah, so I hope you're having a great day wherever you are, and thank you again for listening and for your continued interest in my project. And I thank you for hanging out with me on the commute. I'll see you next time. Bye.